Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new UWT-50 Wi-Fi throttle. It's the little brother to the UWT-100, and I've been waiting for this for almost a year now. So let's see if it's been worth the wait. Before we get started though, I want to ask you one more time to support the channel by subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and all you have to do is hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Thanks now. Now, a couple of years ago now, I reviewed the UWT-100, the TCS Wi-Fi throttle that can be used with any DCC system that has a Wi-Fi interface capability. So it is very versatile, and I found it to be a very capable means of controlling trains and using with various other layouts, not just my Digitrax layout. When TCS released the information about the UWT-50 that they were working on, a little over a year ago now, they promised it with a standard knob controller like this one right here. And it was available with either a potentiometer knob control, so that you came to the end of your turn after about 260 degrees or so. Or it's also available with an encoder. And with an encoder, they just keep spinning around and around without any problem at all. And it gives you a little bit of different capability with the throttle. So what I want to do now is I want to get in closer so that you guys can see this real well. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, what it comes with, and then how you use it on the model railroad. So we'll be using it to operate a train here on the Piedmont Southern. Now the unit is just a little bit smaller than the UWT-100. It has a slightly smaller display. However, it has the same utility and capabilities as the bigger throttle. So you don't lose anything by going to it. And if you prefer a knob like this for controlling your trains, then this is probably the way you're going to want to go. Now the unit comes with an extra knob, and it comes with this lanyard. Now, I want to show you how to install this because a few people had some issues or problems with installing it on the UWT-100, so I think I'll give you an idea of how it works up front. So basically, if you look right here, there's two little holes here on the bottom, and all you do is take your little nylon or whatever it is cord and push it down in here until it comes out the other side. So it just goes down and comes right back up. All you have to do is push it. And then you pull that piece up and then run the other end through the loop. And give it a pull as soon as you get it through there. Here we go. There it is. And then just give it a little pull and you're done. And then this fits over your wrist so that you don't break it if you should happen to drop it. Let's go ahead and take a look at how it works because it does have some pretty neat functionality. So you've got your keypad here with all 10 characters or 10 numerals, and this is the return key, and this is an emergency stop key, the red one. So you can press that, and it has various options as far as stopping the locomotive you're operating, stopping all locomotives on the layout, and turning the layout off. So you have various capabilities there. Also, you can control switches. You can see right here, there is a small switch shown here. And right here, there's a small locomotive, and that's for selecting locomotives. Up here, this is your direction control. This up arrow key here is simply to allow you to access the higher functions. So once you get above function 9, then you hit this arrow, and it will allow you to do 11, 12, so on, and hit it again, and it'll take you up to the next level, the 20s. And there'll be an indicator here on the screen that you're at 1 or 2 levels, okay? So that's what that is used for. And then right here on this side, we have the menu access button. So that's very straightforward, and there's a lot of menu options built in here. Right here is a question mark. If you look close, you can see that is the help key. So there's a lot of context-sensitive help menus and help information built into this throttle. So at any point, if you're hung up, you just hit the help key and it will come up and give you some help information on whatever you're working on at that time. Another thing up here, you'll see there are these little dots, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They can correspond to a button here on the left, a button here that's 3, and then number 4 is another one over here. So you've got 4 different buttons, and they can be reprogrammed to whatever you want them to do. And that gets kind of complicated, so I'm not going to be able to show you that in this video, but I'm going to go with just the default functions. Now, the interesting thing about these is if you look here, it's actually got a little thumb wheel device built in. And you can push it to enter data. You can go up, you can push down, and that helps you move around on the screen. And same thing over on this side for doing various things. Now, as I said, there are various functions built in already in the default state, and we'll take a look at that as soon as I turn it on. And of course here, I got the potentiometer version of this, so it starts out here, and you can see this very nice knurled knob, and then it's got a depression here for a finger to sit into if you want to thumb wheel something. It allows you to do that. And you can see that basically you're getting somewhere around 260, 280 degrees, which is typical for a potentiometer. Now with an encoder, it's going to keep spinning. And so it's very similar to what you get on the UWT-100. That just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. So that uses an encoder, whereas this is a potentiometer, but they do have an encoder version. It also has a couple of LEDs here on the top that you can use for a flashlight. If you're operating in low light conditions and you can't see what you're doing, you can turn the little flashlight on and take a look at, you know, the number on a car or something else see if a switch is thrown, whatever. Gives you a lot of capabilities. Okay, so that's the basic layout of the keyboard. Fairly straightforward. And of course, you would use these keys here, the numerical keys, to enter things like the locomotive number, and also for numerical entries here on the screen when you're entering passwords, things of that nature. Okay, so how do you turn the little devil on? Well, you can hit any key and then wait until it lights up and it'll say press 2 to start. So then I press 2 and it's going to start. Now let me zoom in a little bit closer. We're going to go back to the beginning here. You can see right here that there is this little designation. That tells you the strength of the Wi-Fi connection here. Now, in my layout, I have an old wireless router that is not connected to the internet. So this is just giving me the Wi-Fi connection, the strength of the Wi-Fi signal. And I'm using this with JMRI, with Decoder Pro right now. So I've got it hooked up and it's communicating with Decoder Pro on my computer. And I'll show you what that is used for in just a second. You can see there's a little battery right here next to the Wi-Fi signal strength, and that tells you the strength or how much battery power is left. Now you'll note it's already logged in, and it did that because I've previously set up my Wi-Fi connection here. And you can see right here, so I've got a very strong Wi-Fi signal, should be because it's right here in the room with me. And what I've got is an old D-Link Wi-Fi router, wireless router, and I use it only for the model railroad. So it allows this throttle to connect to the model railroad through either the Locomotive Wi-Fi interface, the LNWI, or through Decoder Pro, and using Y-Throttle on Decoder Pro. So that's two ways that you can connect to a Digitrack system. You can do the same thing with an MRC system if you have their wireless interface, or if you have their computer interface that allows it to connect to your laptop. Now, you can do the same thing with NCE, and you have to have a special interface for that. You can use their USB interface for a hardwired connection, and there is a third-party wireless interface that you can purchase. And I'll see if I can get that information. I know that Iron Planet Hobbies does carry that, and I'll try to put that information in the description in case you want to look it up. Now, a number of other of the various DCC systems are starting to come with a built-in Wi-Fi connection. So you'll have to take a look at that. I believe that the ESU device has it, and there's probably some others that I'm not that familiar with that also have a built-in Wi-Fi connection. So all you need to use this throttle is a Wi-Fi connection, either a system-dependent Wi-Fi interface or a Wi-Fi connection through a router, wireless router, and you can use your home router, or you can use one that you pick up, off the internet as secondhand, that you get those very, very inexpensively. You might have an old one sitting around your house that you can connect up and use. Setting these up is very easy, particularly if you're using like the system-dependent one, the Linwi. I was able to connect right away without any problem. Setting up the one for the Wi-Fi throttle requires going to the menu, and I'm going to push the menu button here, and we'll go on down, and I've got this little thumb wheel here on the side, and I'm going to use that to go down through the menu. So you can see I can go down one item at a time, and we can get down to network options. Let me go back up a bit and push that button, and it tells you the current network. So I can hit select, and you can select as 2. So I hit this little button here, and that will tell me that the network is D-Link. So I'm connected to my D-Link wireless router to Decoder Pro running on my PC, my Windows PC. And the next thing you can use that for example, let me hit the escape here a couple of times and get back out. But let's say that you wanted to, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit to show you this. Let's say that you want to select a locomotive. Well, you hit this little locomotive key, and if you connect to Decoder Pro using your wireless router, it will automatically download your entire roster into the UWT-50. So then you can just scroll down through all of your locomotives that you've entered in there, and you can see all of mine here. There's a bunch. Or let's say you want to get there quick. You can just enter like 2292, and it's going to automatically go down to Southern 2292. And let's go ahead and we will select that and hit the little 2 button, and that's how you select it. Now, I said that there are various functions associated with each one of these programmable buttons here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's these guys here. And you can see that 1 is the locomotive, 2 is for muting, 3 is to give you yard throttle, and then 4 gives you the headlight on and off. Now, what is the yard thing? Well, the yard option allows you to convert this from a straight potentiometer to a yard throttle. And what that does is, when you select yard mode, and I hit 3 for that, and it automatically highlights it, and then I can increase my throttle, and then right here in the dead center of travel, there's a little detent. There's a little click in, basically. And then at that point, as you turn clockwise, you're going to see, you can watch the speed right here. It's going to increase in the forward direction that way. And then if I come back to the center position and go this way, it's going to go into reverse. So that allows you very quickly to be able to go forward and reverse in a yard operation setup to control a switcher that is going to be moving backwards and forwards quite a lot. I don't think you would want to use that out on the road, but it's something that can be quite useful in yards. So you can see either way, speed goes up in reverse, speed goes up and forward. The main problem that I've had in getting used to this right away is finding that 0 sweet spot there and training my fingers to stop when I get there. So that's how that works. Now I'm going to turn that back off so you can see I hit the little 3 button, and you can see it's not highlighted any longer. Let's go ahead and take a look at the menu. So I'm going to click on Menu, and we can scroll down through there. So Recall, that maintains a list of the most recently used locomotives in a recall stack. So you can push Select to, and you can see I've been using Loco 211. I've got a consist of 6547 and 2147. I have a Loco 219, and on down through here for some distance, all the locomotives that I've been using. Let's go back to the menu again, and you can see this is for operations, so we can select that, and you can release a locomotive. This is for Digitrax. You can dispatch a locomotive. You can see that yard mode is turned off. Let's go on down through here. What else? There's a loco function list, park the current locomotive, a number of different functions available here in operations. Let's go down one more to consisting, and we'll take a look at how do you set up a consist. Well, you can add a loco to a consist. You can view the current consists. So let's take a quick look at that. There's only one locomotive, really. It's not a consist. We'll get back out of there. You can examine the consist functions, and that's it for that one. Let's go ahead, past consisting. Okay, here's our network options. You can select here. It'll tell you the current network. It'll tell you all of the saved networks. Let's take a look at that. You can see here is my layout Wi-Fi, which I'm not sure, that might be the D-Link. And then we've got the Digitrax server here, which is the Linwi. And I think that's all. Let me see. Nope, there's my D-Link right here. So that's the various networks that I've got here. I'm not exactly sure what layout Wi-Fi is, to be honest with you. Let's go ahead down to the next one. So you can add a network here. And when you do that, it starts searching, and I don't have any other networks to search for, so we can't use that. But basically, you go in here, add a network, and it will step you through the process of selecting whatever networks are available and entering a password if it's required. And then below that, you've got 7 about this throttle, tells you about the throttle here, the various IP information, all kinds of things. So we can take a look here at the settings real quick. Throttle settings, user info settings, network settings. So there's all kinds of things that you can get into trouble with in this area here. You can turn track power off. There's all kinds of information in here. Factory reset, I don't want to do that. And more of a tutorial here. So there's a lot of features hidden in that settings section that you can explore at your leisure. And remember, you can always go in here and do a factory reset if you mess something up along the way. Okay, so that's a tour of the unit. You can see we've got our locomotive address here, and that was downloaded, as I said, with my roster, and it shows up here. You can see the direction, forward or reverse. You can see the speed here. Set that up, bring that back to 0, and then you can see that the headlight is on here and function 1 is on. Right here, the first position here is 211. That's the last locomotive that was used before this one. We can mute the yard mode I showed you and highlight. And one thing you can do, and I'll show you this in a future video, you can go in and customize various of these function names using Decoder Pro. And then when your roster gets downloaded to the throttle, then you get specific names for each button here that are associated with a given locomotive. And I'll show you in the future, in a future video I'm going to do on how to set up the special functions in Decoder Pro, because it really is a neat capability. Okay, what I want to do next now, that's a tour of the display and all these buttons. Let's go ahead and move over to the layout, and we will operate Southern 2292. Okay, so you can see we've got Locomotive 2292 selected. It's going forward, speed step 0 at this point, and the headlight is on. I'm going to go ahead and hit 3 to get into yard mode. So you can see yard mode is now highlighted or blacked. And we can go ahead, and I need to move to the center position first. And once I get there, then I can run the locomotive forward just by, or I can come backwards. And that saves me the trouble of having to hit the reversing button each time that I want to go in a different direction, which would be a lot in a yard operation. So let me run forward again, and we'll connect to this string of cars. Whoops. And as I said, I have not been able to train my fingers yet. So let's go, whoops. Okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead. We've got the string of cars. Let's back up. And we'll come back here to the, whoops. So you can see that's one of the problems with getting used to yard mode, is that you're constantly going in the wrong direction because that's what your fingers are used to do. So I'm going to turn yard mode back off until I get used to it. And then we're going to go forward with the locomotive. Okay. There. Now I can reverse and come back to where the under the track magnet is, and I can cut loose from this string of cars. You can see it's right there. And now I can come forward slowly and couple up with open couplers, push the string of cars onto the track, and cut loose and back up again. And we can do the bell. So you can see that I've already tuned the sounds to my threshold, and that's about as loud as I like to keep them, because in this yard there will probably be, at least a half a dozen locomotives running most of the time, and the cumulative sound of all those locos probably would drive me up the wall in no time at all. But at any rate, I'm already liking this throttle a lot. It's very responsive, even though I'm going through an active Wi-Fi connection. It's amazing all of the things that are crammed in here. Everything basically you can do with the UWT-100, you can do with this one here. And so it has a lot of flexibility, and it has the added advantage of having a thumb wheel potentiometer type control knob. So that's something especially I like. And as we go along, once I get a chance to work with it some more, I plan to go back or come back and give you an update in progress on this, how I like it. And I'm going to do the same thing with the UWT-100. Well, that's a wrap for today's video. As you can see from my comments, I do like this new throttle. It really has been worth the wait. So that's it for today's video on the UWT-50 throttle. Next week, we're going to go back, as I said, and I've got the PSXX2 set up on the module connected into the NCE SB5, and we'll take a look at how that works with it and get it programmed, go through some of the programming steps, and give you a tour of how to use it. And then we'll go ahead and wrap that one up. And then the following week, I have one of the new DCC specialties, Frog ARs, coming. And that one is very interesting because it combines a lot of the features of the various PSX devices, and it gives you the ability to power frogs. So it's sort of like a frog juicer along with an auto reverser, along with all the other functions that normally come with one of the PSX circuit breakers. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I know it's already been shipped to me, so we should have it well in advance of the next video. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you here next week with another video from the DCC Guide. In the meantime, I'm going to keep playing with my throttle. Bye now.